All right, welcome to the NBC Sports Soccer Pub, coming to you live from Radio Row in Phoenix. So what better time to talk Man City and everything that happened to them. Let's welcome in Matt Slater, senior football news reporter for The Athletic, and Brad Thomas. Now, Matt, a thing happened in the Premier League this week, being talked about as what could potentially be, one of the biggest weeks in Premier League history. Now, I listened to your breakdown on the Totally Football show with James Richardson, where you went into a lot of depth around everything that Man City have been charged with. Can you maybe give our audience a bite-sized kind of overview of what happened this week?
Yeah, okay. So your audience might remember there were a series of exclusives, big scoops by a German publication called Der Spiegel about 4 or 5 years ago, all to do with how Manchester City may have been artificially inflating their revenues by getting people that knew the owners, they're from the UAE, they're from Abu Dhabi, other companies from the UAE, to basically put their sponsorships didn't make sense. It was just another way of funneling money into the club. And this is because there are spending rules in European football, a soft salary cap, if you like. And they were also maybe disguising some costs as well. So the manager had a little side hustle going on with the team in UAE who were paying half his wages. I am simplifying a lot, but that's basically the story. Now, the Premier League has been investigating for 4 years. What we got this week were the charges. And that's what really shocked people. One, because most people have forgotten the Premier League were investigating Manchester City. And two, the number of charges. Over 100. I think it was 115. Now, I can group them together. The main ones are they have not provided accurate financial accounts. So there's almost a sort of dishonesty element to it. And then they also haven't cooperated with the Premier League's investigation. So 2 big groups of charges, pretty serious. The penalties are off the charts.
Yeah. Now, I think what makes this so, confusing is that it's all going to play out in private. And then all of a sudden, it seems like it's just going to appear on the Premier League website or whatever, what the repercussions are. Now, I've heard some speculation around the timeline that's going to take to play out. Do you think that this is something that is going to affect the standings in the Premier League this season, or is this something that could take 2, 3, 4 years?
The latter. So, as I said, over 4-year investigation. Typically, when we've had these sort of cases before, never about a club this big, never about basically sort of suggesting that an entire state, the Abu Dhabi government, might well have been fibbing. It could take a year and a half, these disciplinary cases, because both sides argue there will inevitably be an appeal. I think this one is going to take a year and a half to 2 years minimum. I really do. And then we get into the whole, what do they do? Because we're talking about 14 years worth of charges here. It goes back all the way to 2009.
Matt, with the heavy ramifications, do you think that Manchester City are going to be affected on the pitch?
No, I don't, because they've been here before. Manchester City have been under suspicion ever since they got taken over by Abu Dhabi in 2008. And they've been in trouble twice with European football's governing body, once in about 2014-15-ish, and then again off the back of those Der Spiegel allegations, which are all based on hacked emails. I recommend people to go back and refresh their minds. It's an amazing story. But they've been there before, and it didn't have an impact before. In some ways, it kind of galvanized them, us versus the world. That's certainly the way, when you talk to Manchester City fans, that's how they feel. They feel it's us versus the world. It's the established order. It's the status quo versus us to disrupt the club. They want to pull up the drawbridge. They don't like us because we're new money. I think there's going to be more of that siege mentality.
Yeah. Now, Premier League transfer spend, obviously a hot topic after Chelsea bought everyone on the planet in the transfer window. Do you think that this is something that could potentially affect City from a transfer perspective, particularly in the next 6 months?
I mean, it might do. Yeah. I mean, if you are in negotiations with the next big thing, and this is hanging over you, and there's potential relegation, potential European ban, just missing out on Europe because maybe a points deduction. Yeah, that may well play on the mind of the player that wants to join the club. On the flip side, Man City have won those 2 previous cases ultimately. I mean, they got a slap on the wrist the first time with UEFA, and they effectively got a slap on the wrist the second time. But they would claim that they won on the big substantive issues. So Man City will be looking at these guys and saying, we were right before, we're right now. We've done nothing wrong. This is a fishing trip. This is them ganging up on us. Don't worry, we've got the best lawyers in the world. We're going to win. Sign with us. We're really good. It's a good question. I don't know the answer.
No, that's totally fair. I find myself kind of wondering what happens in the big picture in the rest of the season. And I know that fans do all around the world. They want to know, can Manchester City ultimately overcome this adversity, ultimately erase the 5-point deficit that they have? But listen, they have to play Aston Villa. Arsenal have to play in a match this week as well. Do you think either team get caught looking ahead with each other, clashing with each other Wednesday?
Possibly, yeah. But I mean, again, I think the real story is that Arsenal have been fantastic. They've been really, really good, surprisingly good. They had a wobble in their last game when they lost to Everton. Classic new manager bounce. They didn't play that badly. Everton kind of roughed them up a bit. It was an old-fashioned Everton performance, but it wasn't a disaster. That happens, lose away from home. I'll be interested to see how they get on against Brentford. Brentford are a really good team, but they're at home. Man City's a bit different. Man City have not been playing that well. They've got a great team, and they added to it with the best striker in the world. But has it made them worse? There's something funny going on with Man City at the moment that predates this row that we have, this conversation we're having now. So I don't know. I mean, a lot of us here expect Man City to sort of snap into gear and put together 10, 12 games in a row and put Arsenal under pressure. But they haven't done it yet, and they don't really look like doing it at the moment.
Yeah, that's the funny thing with Man City. I mean, a week ago we were talking about, does Haaland ruin Pep Guardiola's system? Are they better off playing with more just a false nine as their striker? And now we're talking about them potentially getting relegated. So it changes quickly. Last one for you, Matt. I think certainly the team of most interest in the Premier League before this all happened was Chelsea, who have constructed basically a make-your-own FIFA roster team. They play away to West Ham this weekend. What are you expecting from them the rest of the season?
Good question. I mean, who knows? I mean, what a strange season they had. Obviously the big money takeover, the whole drama of saying goodbye to Roman Abramovich, the circumstances of that. Todd Bowley, the new guy, throwing money around in the summer, going after stars, Raheem Sterling, Koulibaly, Cucurella. And then we've just had this most recent window when they spent money again, but in a completely different way, like a different strategy. They've gone young. They seem to have borrowed the Brighton textbook. And I'm trying to sort of put these two strategies together from summer to winter and how many players they've got now. And yeah, Graham Potter has got to find a mix that works. They have been hit by injuries, but there's been no consistency around performance or selection. I don't know. I mean, they could carry on like this and just be mid-table, or they could get better and come sixth. I don't see much better than that, to be honest.
Yep, no, I'm with you there. Well, Matt, thank you for joining. Thank you for. I know you're outside a pub on your phone internet. It's the best phone internet connection I've ever seen in human history from outside a pub. So you've done phenomenally there. Can you tell people where to follow you and what you're working on at the moment?
Well, I work for The Athletic, so you have to come behind the paywall with me. But I am on Twitter at NJ Shrimper, Shrimper being the club I support, Southend United, who are in real trouble. Okay, so pray for Southend. And I'm working on all sorts of stuff, Man City and European Super League news and all of that.
Excellent. I encourage everyone to check out that Totally Football podcast with James Richardson from a few days ago, where Matt did break down in further detail everything going around Man City. All right, thanks very much for your time, Matt, and have a great weekend.
You're welcome, guys.
Cool. Well, plenty happening in the Premier League. Not too many people talking about it on Radio Row, but they should be, Brad.
Yes,
let's close out quickly with what your best bet is for the weekend, Brad.
Yeah, I'm actually going to back Brentford plus 1.5 against Arsenal. It is your classic look-ahead spot. As dominant as Arsenal have been at home and as sluggish as Brentford have been on the road, this is still a spot that I have to play. I think Arsenal do enough to keep this low-scoring 1-0, but Brentford also do enough not to make Arsenal explode. I'm figuring something like 1-0 Arsenal, and I cover my bet.
I like that. Yep, I'm going to give out a couple of futures bets. I know that Matt outlined that this is going to take a while, and it's unlikely that City face point deductions. But I think with everything going on, it introduces more variance into the top four race. I think also with Man United slipping up, dropping 2 points against Leeds yesterday, that opens the door as well for a couple of teams. So I've backed Tottenham at plus 170 to finish in the top four, and Liverpool at plus 500 to finish in the top four. Those are two teams with a lot of upside the rest of the way. All right, that is all from us. Thanks again to Matt Slater for joining. I'm Jay Crouch. You can follow me on Twitter at CroucherJD. This is Brad Thomas. You can follow him at Mr. Brad Thomas, and we'll be back next week.
Hi there, I'm Rebecca Lowe, studio host for NBC's coverage of the Premier League. Don't forget to hit subscribe to watch more videos all season long. For even more Premier League content, from original series to live matches, head over to Peacock and be sure to tune in for Premier League mornings every weekend on USA Network and on Peacock. We will see you over there.